Hello everyone. I'm here to talk about a project that I did recently. I created a serverless stack where I can upload CSV into S3, which is storage in the cloud on AWS, and my Lambda function will process it and basically will send out a bunch of emails for me based off of the data that I put in the CSV. So I can deposit CSV and get a whole bunch of emails sent out. It basically looks like this. I got CSV in, I got some text in CSV, or I'll put emails. It's pretty grainy. Emails in CSV. Emails.csv a little better. And then that goes into S3. And then when the event is created, it goes to Lambda, which is a serverless. It's like a server, but it's not. You don't have to manage it. And then you go. It calls SES, which is a simple email service. And then that sends out all of my emails to all of my different people. Actually, technically, Lambda sends a whole bunch of different requests to SES for each individual email. So for each and then SES sends out a whole bunch of different emails. So that's the basic architecture framework of how this works. If you want to try to build this is a pretty easy project. Not easy, but you should be able to accomplish it. There's a lot of documentation out there on how to do this. I ended up doing it in Python, but I wanted to do it in Ruby because Ruby is just, my favorite language. But there's a lot more resources out there for Python because academia likes Python. So I followed a tutorial, but then I had to do a bunch of bug fixing to make this. I tried to write it myself, and I got stuck on the commit hash, or the event hash, which I'll explain in a minute. But it's a pretty fun project. Now I'm going to show my code. So if you wanna, here it is. Basically, it uses Boto 3, which is a Python library, to make Amazon management easier. If you're doing it in Ruby, you have to use the SDK, which is a lot more syntax heavy. So I wish Boto 3 was for Ruby, but what are you gonna do? What this part here is the event hash. It passes event to the Lambda handler. And this turns into JSON. This accesses the data in the event record. Actually, I'm not sure what this does. I guess it turns event into JSON, and then just it's in place. I guess that makes sense. And then the commit hash or the event hash is it's very it's like a big wall of text. So you have to access it via keys. And then you have to get the bucket and the key. The key is the name of the object that caused the operation, and the bucket is the name of the bucket where it was uploaded, the S3 bucket. And you need these because you have to use getObject to get the object. The object is not passed to you by AWS. You have to actually pull it. So it needs to know what the name of the file is, basically, and what bucket it resides in. And that's what this does right here. And these two right here, these are basically reading the file because it's a CSV file. .read is a CSV thing. So it's reading the body of the file, and then after it's been split into rows, you can start setting up the SES stuff. It basically walks through all of the rows and it does stuff. I haven't shown you the way the CSV is structured yet, but I'll show you that in a second. But it looks for this line right here in the CSV, if it equals text of I, and then it does something, and it starts the address. It basically starts the address section. But if it doesn't, I think it's like adding. Or was a while ago. I think it's like adding a new line to each line for processing, and then it appends the addresses. It creates a big list of addresses basically that it can loop through. And these are setting variables like subject equals text 0. And then this is the body. It's setting these two variables, which we need later, rows in the CSV, to those different variables, and then it can reference them later right here. And the email will be the same. It'll all be the same. I'm just gonna get rid of this. So that is my email address. And it just walks through. Then it sends all of them from the email address. And that's basically it. For each address in new list, it basically just sends an email to each one with the char set UTF-8, etc., etc. And it uses BOTA3 to connect to the SES. And then it sends to each one. Something that I found to be very useful was the CloudWatch logs section. Actually, I'm not going to show that because it has, but you click right here and you can see all the text that is like created by the function. But it has my email address in it, so I'm not going to show that. And I also had to do one more thing that might get people stuck. I had to do a list comprehension for the last line that shows up as a blank line. It'll give an error if you don't do this. That was something that kept happening to me for a little while. And that's basically it. It just sends the email out, and I tested it works. I tested it for multiple, and that is about it. So, pretty cool project. Here's a blog post telling you how to do it. I actually didn't use this one, but it'd probably work. It's a pretty simple project. But the SDK is kind of like a hard thing to use. I'd say if you're going to attempt this project, try to use Python and BOTA3, because the SDK is hard to use, and Amazon doesn't make a lot of details known about how to use their stuff. I'll show the docs. They don't really show that much stuff. It might be more in the API reference, but so let's go to Ruby. This is almost nothing. Like, this is like literally almost nothing on how to use this stuff. They keep all the deployment stuff secret. This is all they got for Ruby. Like, what the hell? This one's a little bit longer. It doesn't talk about the commit hash at all. Or not the commit hash, what's wrong with that? The hash of the event. I'll show that too. Event hash lambda. It is not here. It is not here. I can't find it. But it's like this big wall of text, a whole bunch of details about your like deployment. It also holds the name of the file that was uploaded, and that's why it matters for us. But yeah, that's about it, you know. If you guys want to attempt this project, good luck. It's not super difficult. Took me less than a day. See you later.